Things could change for small businesses as a new administration prepares to take over. President-elect Joe Biden wants to make small business a centerpiece of his economic policy plans. Business consultant Paul Karch, president and CEO of SOLAIYA, joins us now. And Paul, first of all, how will the new Democratic administration affect small business owners? As we just heard from Jessica's report, many are struggling to survive in this pandemic.
I think what you're going to see first and foremost is some of the initiatives that are coming forward, or at least have been promised to come forward under the new Biden administration, include things like the infrastructure bill, and that's a $300 billion per year bill that's being put forward. That $300 billion is per year, so it's $3 trillion over 10 years. A third of that actual contract itself should be set aside for small business. And if a third of that is set aside for small business, that really means $100 billion of potential revenue for small businesses over year one of the Biden administration.
Wow. Should small businesses be concerned about another shutdown?
Theoretically, yes. But again, the shutdown will occur. If a shutdown occurs, it's a perfect time actually for small businesses to kind of reset. Because if you go back and think about the first shutdown with the pandemic in March, small businesses were basically told to leave the office and not come back. Just go home, we'll figure it out. What was occurring then is there was no proactivity. It was everything was totally reactive. Now is a good time, if there is a shutdown, for a small business to turn around and say, let's take a deep breath, let's figure out the best way to get people back to work, and let's figure out the safest way to bring employees back in and plan for it.
All right, I hear you have some advice for business owners, information on a website many may not know about.
Absolutely. I mean, the federal government is Fortune 1. They are essentially the organization that spends more money on most things than anybody else in the world. I recommend that small businesses go to sam.gov, sam.gov, and register as a small business in sam.gov. That registration doesn't cost anything to do. It doesn't cost anything. You actually set yourself up to be a formalized government contractor at that point. And from there, you can start to look at bidding on government contracts as either a prime contractor or supporting large scale, the large systems integrators, the large manufacturing companies, the large construction companies as a small business partner of those large businesses.
Wow, that's a good idea for people who are struggling right now. Why do you think a lot of people never heard of this website?
I think people are afraid of the federal government, are afraid of the business itself. I think they kind of take a step back and they kind of say, wow, it's too ominous, it's too hard to get the work, it's too hard to get the business. Granted, it does take patience, it does take focus, it does take a little bit of, you have to kind of put the blinders on and say, we're going to go win that contract, or we're going to participate here. But once you do it and win the first contract and realize that I've seen companies, 4-person companies, go from $400,000 in revenue in 1 year to $4 million in year 3 and $40 million by year 5.
All right, some good advice. Paul Karch, president of SOLAIYA, thanks for being with us today.
Okay, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
And as Paul said, if you'd like to look into government contract opportunities for your local business, head on over to sam.gov.